All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We had a wild interaction on Twitter yesterday between Team Gervonta Davis and Team Devin Haney. And I have to say, I think we've hit an entirely new low in the communications between grown men. Bill Haney said something to the CEO of Mayweather Promotions that for the first time, I sat back and listened to what Bill Haney, the man that runs Devin Haney Promotions, and thought to myself, wow, how did you get that out your mouth on camera? Leonard Ellerbe responds in a way that was very, very professional, but suitable at the same time. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 140 to 130 pound division, where there's been a lot of talk this week about a fight that could possibly take place between Devin Haney, the WBC 140 pound champion, and Gervonta Tank Davis, the WBA champion at 135 pounds. And some information came out from Leonard Ellerbe, who shared that Devin Haney's pay-per-view did about 50,000 buys. Bill Haney took exception to that, calling him a liar, but he took a step forward from that, where saying that the man is not telling the truth is neither here nor there. But he called Leonard Ellerbe one of the biggest insults that you could throw at another black man. And when I heard it, I was absolutely shocked that it rolled off his lips so casually. I looked at his eyes and I could see, okay, yeah, man, it's maybe late at night. Maybe maybe you were relaxing a little bit or something, but totally uncalled for. Leonard Ellerbe responds. But before I get into the details of it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you guys so much for your continued support. All right, so look, man, I'm 54 years old. Bill Haney, I suspect, is right around the same age as me. Maybe a year younger, maybe a year older, but right around there, right around the same age. Leonard Ellerbe, I do believe, is a few years older than me. Leonard Ellerbe may be 58, somewhere around there. But I think maybe, if I recall looking it up at some point in time, I think that maybe he was maybe like a senior in high school, or maybe a freshman in college when I was a freshman in high school, something like that. But when you get to the age that we are, that's very, very close in age, not far off at all, as far as your world experiences and all of that. So when I heard Leonard Ellerbe come out and say, in a very, very respectful way, but at the same time, I knew what he was doing, and I think Bill knew what he was doing, when he said that Devin Haney did a very respectable $1.7 million gate in his fight that sold out in San Francisco against Regis Prograis. And then he said, but with 50,000 pay-per-views, you're not in position to dictate any terms to Gervonta Tank Davis. So all of that's the big news that hits the deck, though, is that Gervonta Davis's team and Leonard Ellerbe said that fight did 50,000 pay-per-views. while there were people that are very, very closely connected with Devin Haney's team that have been trying to convince people throughout the week that it did as many as 250,000 pay-per-views. And that means that Devin Haney is catching up with Gervonta Davis. At 50,000 pay-per-views, that is half of, or could be a third of, what Devin Haney did on pay-per-view against Vasily Lomachenko. And the reason why I say it could be is because I'm not completely convinced about that 150,000 that people said Devin and Lomachenko did. I'm not 100% convinced with that. But those are the numbers that are being thrown out. So if you got 50 here on Regis and you got 150 against Lomachenko, that means Devin Haney's pay-per-view sales actually went down. And that's not a good look when you're saying things like you want 60-40 from Gervonta Davis. Now, the thing that I found really like completely inappropriate and at the same time, little bit, how can I say, ironic, is that Leonard Ellerbe was called the SPOOK by the door, the spook by the door. First thing he started looking at the camera and called Leonard Ellerbe the spook by the door. I couldn't believe it. Now, maybe some of you guys, maybe that word is not in vogue anymore, but when I was a kid, that is what very, very racist white people call black people. Now, there is a book that was written when we were children, when I was an infant, really, and Leonard Ellerbe may have been 4 or 5 years old, and Bill Haney, I don't know, man, may not have been born yet. He might have been born in 1970. But there was a book in the 1960s, late 1960s, early 1970s, that was called The Spook by the Door. But the funny thing is that although the word SPOOK is so insulting, the book was actually about an extremely, extremely talented black man that was recruited to join the CIA. And when he was recruited by the CIA did not know that he was really a black nationalist, similar to the Black Panthers and other parties, and that he used all of the information that he learned being in the CIA to, when he left and retired from the CIA, to go to Chicago and to actually coordinate communities and put communities, black community in Chicago, into a situation where it could really work against the power structure that was oppressing them. So the spook was what the CIA would call him in the insult, and he's sitting by the door doing what? Listening to what they do, listening to how they infiltrate organizations, listening to how they do all of those things. It was actually it was kind of like the way people use Uncle Tom's Cabin as an insult to other. So I know that may be seeming maybe a little bit, overly intellectual. It's not even really the right, you just have to be able to read a book, not overly analytical. But it was amazing to me that he would say that he would choose those words, because if you're comparing Leonard Ellerbe to the actual character in that book, it's the greatest compliment, one of the better compliments that you could do. And actually, it's very similar to what Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe and Al Heyman are actually doing, which is learning how the businesses of the majority community, what they call themselves to be the majority community, are doing, and using those techniques in order to advance the livelihood and the well-being of a young black man named Gervonta Davis. It's amazing. The whole thing was amazing to me. Now, if you can't follow along with that, hey, man, that's not my fault, man. But, that was completely uncalled for. And Leonard Ellerbe was very direct. He said something about, look, man, and he said something about calling him a liar. And he didn't appreciate being called a liar, which means he doubled down on that 50,000. He doubled down on that 50,000 pay-per-views. And again, this is not Rick Glazier saying this. This is Leonard Ellerbe saying it, who in my understanding has only done this one other time that I remember, when he let out the Canelo Alvarez pay-per-views for DAZN. When people started talking about how they were outselling the PBC and he's like, nah, man, You're going to stop. And what it looked like to me, it was like he was basically will put numbers out when he is preventing people from trying to steal the credit or minimize the credit of what's the accomplishments of people at the PBC. In the case of Canelo still selling all these pay-per-views on DAZN, which was people trying to make the Showtime look bad, he came out with the numbers. It's like, nah, man, this dude's numbers have dropped over there. He needs to come over here so his numbers can get back up. And that's exactly what Canelo Alvarez wound up doing. And then you have him, everybody talking about Gervonta Davis. Devin Haney is now the A side over Gervonta Davis with these fictitious numbers, what he says is fictitious numbers, and he corrected them. Right? With the numbers that he put out. But man, dog, you guys lying so daggone much, man. And that stuff that he said, man, I can't respect that at all. A lot of times I have respect for Bill Haney. I know what he's doing, and he's doing what he got to do to get his charge, Devin Haney, to where he wants him to be. But man, you step over the line and start calling people that, and you say that and actually make it look like it's a bad thing to be what that book whose title you use actually is. Nah, man, I'm not feeling it. But anyway, that's me. You let me know what you think in the comment section, and forgive me my unshaven appearance. It is what it is, man. I'm doing these videos on Sunday morning. So y'all have a wonderful day, and follow me on Twitter, man. Follow me on Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter. And I'm out. Deuces.